Good afternoon, folks. Good afternoon, and welcome to Midday Madness with Manly Mark. If anyone out there's tuning in, thanks. I always appreciate you guys tuning in. I'm here at Uncle Pat's Pub, as always, waiting on Jazzy J and T-Man to come in. They're always running late. They're playing music somewhere without me. Unfortunately, without me. But maybe they'll roll in one day, maybe not. You know, we always love visitors here at Uncle Pat's Pub. So, guys, I hope you're having a good, I was going to say Monday, feels like a Monday, but I hope you're having a good, what is today? Wednesday. And a good week. Weather's been great here. And I hope you tuned in to this morning's episode of the Feast Me Show with Manly Mark. Me and Fee talked about a lot of good stuff, and some of the stuff we talked about this morning is a few of the things I'm going to get into in part. But thanks for tuning into that, and make sure to tune in to Night Night with Fee tonight at 9 p.m. Fee answers all your questions. We have them rolling in on our email at feastme.com. You know, if you just go to the website feastme.com, scroll to the bottom, you'll find us. Find our email to send your question. It could be about life, relationship, business, sports, prophecy, Bible, anything in between. But make sure you go to our website, feastme.com, and send in your questions. Fee loves answering them, and I think you guys like to hear them answered. So lots of stuff going on today. I'm just going to kind of just go ahead and dive right into it. You know, this episode's not really centered on one particular thing. I mean, I always try to tie everything together because that's probably what a good storyteller needs to do, even though I don't do it. I mean, I plan it out, but just mostly just try to weave it together as it go, naturally. But I'm going to get into, I saw videos today about this Epstein stuff. You know, it seemed like the Epstein stuff was kind of quiet for a while. It popped up in the news, then kind of went quiet, and now it's back in the news. And essentially they've had a hearing that involved some of these Epstein abuse survivors. And so we're going to listen to 3 videos specifically about this Epstein stuff because, guys, I guess it's finally coming out. Who would have thought, you know, coming from the nothing ever happens guy, I'm pretty surprised that sounds like something might actually be happening. So this is the same congresswoman who has been spilling the beans on the UFO disclosure. And so just interesting that she's I'm not surprised that she's the one coming out and saying some stuff about this, but apparently we might all be hearing a whole lot more about this Epstein stuff. But listen to what she has to say.
Right now?
The biggest thing that stands out to me is the victims themselves have stated that this is a lot bigger than I think anyone anticipated. We are obviously going to be requesting the SARS reports from Treasury, and also too following up on that. There are some very rich and powerful people that need to go to jail. I think everyone's been frustrated as to why that hasn't happened before. But it is very much so a possibility that Jeffrey Epstein was an intelligence asset working for our adversaries. But also, too, I think the questions that we have is how much did our own government know about it? And so there's more to follow, and I'm sure you'll be hearing from the chairman momentarily. But I do applaud the victims from coming forward because we heard from a woman who was as young as 14 years old when she was victimized multiple times by Jeffrey Epstein. So that's hard to hear.
Will you sign the discharge petition and ask the discharge petition?
I think that the files will probably be released prior. I don't know why Comer hasn't. I think that he should do it, so it wouldn't even have to come to a vote. But, I mean, obviously I've been a huge advocate, even when I was the only one in Congress calling for the release of those files. So I think I'd be happy to, yes. Thank you.
What do they call for the victims? Do they want those files released?
The victims want information to be out there, but they don't want their personal information, I think, for good reason to be out there. So I think from the get-go, even the Attorney General has stated that there's victim information that you have to make sure that's private, being that some of the victims also, too, are as young as 14, that's child pornography. So thank you, guys. Guys, let her through.
So very interesting now that, as I've been saying here at the Feast Me Network, on the Feast Me Show and here at Midday Madness with Manly Mark, that don't be surprised if it comes out Epstein's tied to a lot of these intelligence agencies. And that might be in part why they don't want it to come out. But not only that, a bunch of rich and powerful people. So if this is actually happening, guys, buckle up because it's going to be spooky. I'll say that. I'll go ahead and move to the next video. Essentially more of the same thing. I'm pretty sure this was one of the survivors who testified. Maybe I could be wrong, but more so saying that they want this information out. You know, they want these people, they want the public to know who these people were. So listen to this.
There are many pieces of my story that I can't remember, no matter how hard I try. The constant state of wonder causes me so much fear and so much confusion. My therapist says that my brain is just trying to protect itself, but it's so hard to begin to heal knowing that there are people out there who know more about my abuse than I do. The worst part is that the government is still in possession right now of the documents and information about that could help me remember and get over all of this maybe and help me heal. They have documents with my name on them that were confiscated from Jeffrey Epstein's house and could help me put the pieces of my own life back together. But I don't have any of it. And I know the same is true for many of these women. We are here to support this bill today, not only for transparency, but for the American people. But if the government is going to release these documents to the public, describing the crimes committed by Jeffrey Epstein and others, the least that they can do is give me my documents that they have about me. The other survivors deserve the same respect from our government. While our identifying information must be redacted to the public, it is equally important to provide the victims themselves with unredacted information. I will never forget when the FBI agent showed up in my door in 2008. Jeffrey Epstein hired a lawyer to represent me, or more like to represent him, I like to say. I couldn't ask any questions, and I had no idea what was going on. I was terrified. Until today, I think most of us are still terrified. I thought somebody was going to kill me. I thought something was going to happen to my sister or my mother. It went further out to even maybe thinking something would happen in Brazil with my family. And then one day, the lawyer said that everything was just going to go away. Like nothing happened. I didn't need to testify. When I asked him why, he gave no explanation. That was it. So why? Why was I never called to testify then? We could have saved so many women. We could have saved so many lives from being abused. Why did he get away with it in 2008? Why was he able to go on in the abuse with hundreds of girls after the Florida investigation? Why didn't they let me testify to help stop him? Our government could have saved so many women, but Jeffrey Epstein was too important and those women didn't matter. Why? Well, we matter now. We are here today and we are speaking and we are not going to stop speaking. Today, I stand here with the women who have really helped me to find the strength to come out and come forward to share my story for the very first time. Together, we are stronger than ever. While she may not be with us, Virginia Roberts, we will continue to use our voices to strengthen yours always. Thank you.
Ooh, y'all, that's spooky. I mean, it doesn't get any more real than that. I mean, even the survivors are now coming out and talking about it. And they probably have for a while, or maybe they haven't out of fear. But so you got this going on, and I saw a tweet right before I came on that said, oh, they just finally released all the Epstein files. Here's the link. I don't know if it's true. I haven't verified it. But if that's the case, this stuff might be coming out right now. But what's interesting, this is what's very interesting, is Trump's connection to all this stuff. You know, that's the big question. That's the big question, because this was either today or yesterday, but Trump was asked what he thought about the Epstein files and the testimonies going on. So keep in mind the last two videos we saw, and let's compare that to what Trump thinks about this.
Mr. President, right now there have been survivors of Jeffrey Epstein speaking at a press conference on Capitol Hill. They're calling for these case files, these documents to be released. And Thomas Massey, who is sponsoring a discharge of physicians who get the House to vote on release those documents, says he doesn't believe you're implicated in these files, but many of your friends and donors may be, and he says that's why the Justice Department is redacting them and slow walking the release. Is the Justice Department protecting any friends or donors, sir?
So this is a Democrat hoax that never ends. You know, it reminds me a little of the Kennedy situation. We gave him everything over and over again, more and more and more, and nobody's ever satisfied. From what I understand, I could check, but from what I understand, thousands of pages of documents have been given. But it's really a Democrat hoax because they're trying to get people to talk about something that's totally irrelevant to the success that we've had as a nation since I've been president. Even if you look at D.C. right now, D.C., it's a totally safe zone. It's called a safe zone. That's a term. It's a term of art. It's a safe zone because it's very safe. You can walk down the street now and nothing's going to happen. No crime, no murders, no nothing. Because we had a lot of problems with certain places, and we still do, all run by Democrats, or for the most part run by Democrats. So what they're trying to do with the Epstein hoax is get people to talk about that instead of speaking about the tremendous success, like ending 7 wars. I ended 7 wars. Nobody's going to talk about, because they're going to talk about the Epstein, whatever. Sir, I understand that we were subpoenaed to give files, and I understand we've given thousands of pages of files. And I know that no matter what you do, it's going to keep going. And I think it's enough, because I think we should talk about the greatness of our country and the success that we're having. I think we're probably having, according to what I read, even from 2 people in this room, we're having the most successful 8 months of any president ever. And that's what I want to talk about. That's what we should be talking about, not the Epstein hoax.
Ooh, man. Y'all, I'm not anti-Trump by any means, but that was a pretty good deflection, I guess. I mean, not only did he outright call it a hoax, and so what's going on? This is what we're going to find out with the Epstein stuff, an actual hoax? I don't think so, personally. I mean, whether maybe they're going to twist it and manipulate it, but Trump seemed real uncomfortable, and like I said, he sure is wanting to say that's a whole hoax. So, I mean, that's very interesting, and we're going to follow that. And so this morning on the Feast Me show, me and Fee were talking about the Ukraine war, and so I'm going to play a video about from a guy named General Flynn, who was in Trump's first administration and is still big involved in the intelligence community. But he ties this, I'm tying the Epstein into the Ukraine war, in part because General Flynn's claiming that Ukraine is a central hub for, child trafficking, drug trafficking, money laundering, and that, it just goes to show all of these things are always connected. You wouldn't think that so Epstein, it might be connected to Ukraine. Biological warfare programs happening in Ukraine. U.S. taxpayer funded, by the way. But I just think it's interesting because, like I said, I found the video, and again, it's all connected, and it's all connected for a certain, very specific reason. Maybe I'll get into that, but just listen to General Flynn.
What we're seeing in Ukraine is we're seeing a country that is, and everybody knows this now. There's no more hiding this. So why is Ukraine so important? Well, it's a hub for human trafficking. It's a hub specifically for child trafficking. It's a hub for narcotics trafficking. It's a hub for weapons trafficking. We know about our biolabs because Victoria Nuland said we had them there. I mean, we've always known that, but that's stated now publicly. And there's a lot of money just flowing into this country. And you say to yourself, where is this money going? And
Is it money laundering? Is it money laundering?
You name it. Just this week, and it may not have come up on your screen, but I know you pay attention a lot. I mean, there's a couple of people. I think one of them is like somebody in the Ministry of Defense there, and it might be the Minister of Defense, or maybe somebody in his orbit. They're buying these gigantic homes for millions and millions of dollars, and you say to yourself,
Well, so you see, it's like, oh, okay, so Ukraine in of itself has already been tied to all of these illicit practices like money laundering, sex trafficking, child trafficking, drugs, all those things. And it really makes you wonder, okay, well, how does that tie into the Russia-Ukraine war? I think it does tie into it. And so, do what you want with that information. But I think there's a lot more going on than meets the eye to all of these things. And again, I think the Epstein stuff is wild. And so again, I'm a Trump guy, I guess, but him acting like that about it still, it's like, ooh, okay, well, just release the files if it's a hoax. Just release the files. Whether or not it is like that reporter asked, because some of his donors and friends would be implicated in them. I don't know, but it just doesn't look good on Trump to act that way. And so again, I'm not necessarily anti-Trump, but that's very interesting. And of course, all those things tie into things that the global cabal do under the scenes to not only make money but control us. The human trafficking, the money laundering, biological labs. They're all used for example, UN Agenda 2030, which we'll kind of get into a little bit. But the whole idea is to make some point a grid of control over humanity that will gridlock the power structure for a millennia. Essentially, that's their plan, and it's of course a satanic regime, a Luciferian by nature. But that's beside the point. Since we're talking about the Ukraine war, here recently, if you caught our show this morning, Russia and China and India and probably Brazil, the BRICS nations are getting together, and China just did like a 70th, 88th, whatever anniversary of Japan's surrender from World War II with a gigantic military parade, which was attended by Putin, even Kim Jong-un, the Indian Prime Minister. And so it's very interesting that you got that going on just in the wake of the Ukraine war, and you can just see, as Fee says often, the pieces falling together of a wider, broader, potentially worldwide conflict. And so that's interesting. But what's even more interesting is that this was just all over, just news that was reporting the parade, But and we talked about it this morning on the show. But the China hot mic of Putin and Xi Jinping talking, and they're talking about very interesting things. So if there's anyone out there who is just listening instead of actually watching and reading those subtitles, it's like we talked about this morning on the show. It's essentially they're talking about infinite human transplants and how you can live to 150 and how immortality's on the way. If that's what they're talking about, and when that's what they have on the horizon for themselves, that's the point I make, is that it's a small club and we're not a part of it. These people have these plans to extend their lives, but they're probably not going to do it for us, the useless eaters. They're going to enslave us. probably. But I just thought it was funny because while all this is going on, Trump has put a tweet, not a tweet out, but I saw it on Twitter, a post on Truth Social, and I think it's worth reading. The big question to be answered is whether or not President Xi of China will mention the massive amount of support and blood that the United States of America gave to China in order to help it secure its freedom from a very unfriendly foreign invader. Many Americans died in China's quest for victory and glory. I hope that they are rightfully honored and remembered for their bravery and sacrifice. May President Xi and the wonderful people of China have a great and lasting day of celebration. Please give my warmest regards to Vladimir Putin and Kim Jong-un as you conspire against the United States of America. President Donald J. Trump. Ooh. So that's funny. People hate Trump for this very specific reason of that he's loud and says these crazy things. But that's one of the reasons I really like him, is because he's not scared to just come out and say what he's thinking. But I mean, he's kind of just calling them out about conspiring against America, which is very interesting to me. But it's interesting to me also because I can't figure out, on one hand, I almost think the whole worldwide global cabal is controls America in a sense. And so I don't know how these BRIC nations like Russia and China fit into that. I mean, are they controlled by the same powers? And again, it's the different sides of the same coin, that kind of thing. I'm not sure. But there's definitely going to be a power struggle between them. And so we got to watch that, and we got to keep that in mind. But I saw this happen over the weekend. It happened really recently. And I think, it lends to the broader idea of what's going on under the scenes, why, and where is it leading, in the sense of they put people in positions of power to push their agendas. And, in America, you don't see this quite as often, but I'll let the video speak for itself, but watch this video and see what you think. It's about German politicians, okay? And a lot of them are suspiciously just dying, okay, right before an election. And it's like, oh, okay. One or two coincidence. 7 German politicians? Just watch the video and we'll talk a bit about it.
Yesterday I read 4 German AfD candidates who were supposed to sit in the elections died suddenly. 4 politicians that are a part of the AfD in Germany, which supports mass deportations. 4 of them died unexpectedly. I woke up today and it was 6 AfD politicians died suddenly. In the last hour, it is now 7 AfD politicians died suddenly. 7 from one party in Germany which supports mass deportations. And this is before key state elections. To put that into perspective, imagine any party in your country, any one party had 7 of their politicians die suddenly before an election, especially when they're the opposition. Just before elections, a party that's been gaining a lot of traction in Germany. 7
At 7, that's a really high number. I don't know at what point you say it's not a coincidence, but that's because they don't want these far-right politicians in power because they want to push a globalist agenda. They can't have mass deportations because the whole point is to invade Europe, to dwindle Europe and weaken Europe. I mean, that's what's happening. They've taken over Europe. It's a globalist swamp, man. That's what it is. That's all it is. And so to see that, I'm like, whoa, that's really spooky. But again, it's to a broader agenda. The whole point is the UN Agenda 2030. The World Economic Forum. You'll own nothing and be happy. They've been doing it for years in local elections and state elections all over our country and all over the world, putting key people in positions that will further these agenda. If you look at, I should have pulled it up, but I wasn't thinking, how many current prime ministers and presidents all around the world are members of the World Economic Forum? Like young leaders council or board, whatever, and it's like, oh, it makes sense why you get like Trudeau in Canada, who is a globalist, or you get all of these other countries who just feed into this globalist agenda. But it's all just to control. And I saw this. I'm shifting gears because again, these last several videos I'm going to show you are not wacky. I mean, everything I talk about is wacky sometimes, but more so just to point to the fact that deception's everywhere. I mean, we talk all the time about the coming alien deception. Here's a video of a supposed, I guess it's pretty easy to prove because I saw people asking if it's true on the AI, and AI was saying, yeah, it's true. Well, this woman who's a scientist who's making all these claims, and I think she curses, so forgive me if you don't like that, but she gets into this whole alien thing, and the whole point is that there's some weird stuff going on, there's some government disclosure happening right now, and it's coming, but I think it's all to shepherd you into what's coming, which we'll get more into that in a moment, with some other videos that are seemingly off topic, but are related in the broader sense.
Disclosure is going to come out of Huntsville, Alabama, out of Redstone Arsenal. Redstone Arsenal in Huntsville, Alabama is the biggest fucking deal that you've never heard of. It's the biggest fucking deal that you have never heard of. Because the fact is that we have deep and wide, extensive credibility that no one knows about because you're not supposed to know about it because it's in Alabama, it's obscure. You're not supposed to know about it. That's the point.
People that know what Huntsville is. Amy
People know what Huntsville is? Is that what you're saying? People don't know what Huntsville is. Huntsville is the biggest fucking deal on the planet that you have never heard of. Now, like, Huntsville is the Silicon Valley of government national security technology and intelligence community technology and aerospace technology. Huntsville is like the hub. Like, we are number 3 on the first strike launch list. If first strike happens, 3 targets, Huntsville will be one of them. Alabama. This is Alabama, dude, in the deep south. We're in the top 3 first strike. We're in the top 3 first strike because you haven't heard of us. That's why. It's on purpose. I started the Institute for one reason. One reason, the Institute. I started it as a public-facing persona to disclose anti-gravity technology through, because I told Mark this. If you stick your neck out in public, at least someone notices if your head gets chopped off. If you stick your neck out in private, fuck you. They will bury you. They will burn down your house while you're sleeping in your bed.
Pardon all her profanity, but the whole point of that was that she is a scientist and who was trying to disclose this stuff because apparently they just moved. Trump made an announcement about moving the Space Force headquarters, or so apparently to Huntsville, Alabama. So it's like, okay, there's something definitely going on with that, but again, they're disclosing all this stuff to probably mislead you. I mean, they've had this technology for years, some say since Roswell. And so whether these aliens we're seeing are just technology our governments already have, or they are demonic supernatural entities that they're lying to say are extraterrestrials, the point is they're trying to lie to you, to shepherd you into a satanic one world government where they have complete and utter control over your thought and day-to-day movement and actions. I mean, it's coming, folks. And not only are they lying to us about that, which will tie into religion, of course, but even they're attacking our health. I saw these 2 videos about health, and you say, they're about Tylenol, okay, and LASIK. But when you just scope in on one or zoom in on one, you're like, man, yeah, that's unfortunate we find these things out. But then when you take a look back and just notice all of the things that they do to us, that they conveniently say, oh, we had no idea. You can't hardly look at it in a broad view without noticing these trends and patterns to the point where you think, okay, there's definitely something going on. There's a wider effort to hurt me, hurt the general public, because they want you not only just to be a perpetual customer to the medical industry, but a docile sheep that they can mold and control your mind. But if they get to that point, then essentially they have your soul. So I just saw this video recently, and something I've been harping on for a long time, but y'all just take a look at this.
Welcome back. Acetaminophen has long been considered the safest pain reliever for expecting moms to use during pregnancy, but now a new study out links the popular drug to some pretty serious long-term side effects for a baby. Let's go ahead and bring in Dr. Masa Tarani, a board-certified rheumatologist. Doctor, tell us about the study and the results. And I mean, it sounds like this is potentially transformational.
Yes, Jillian. So the group of researchers at Mount Sinai looked at over 46 studies, over 100,000 participants worldwide, and they found that in utero exposure to acetaminophen increases risk of autism as well as attention deficit hyperactivity type disorders. And the higher the dose, the longer the duration, increases this risk further. Now, we think this happens because acetaminophen can cross the placenta and it can interfere with the developing fetal brain with the chemical and hormonal signaling. And the big problem is acetaminophen, which is also known as brand names Tylenol, paracetamol, have been our go-to recommendations for pain and fever relief in these pregnant patients. I do have to say the study is not 100% cause and effect. It doesn't establish that, but it is a very strong observational study. And in this time where we're seeing such a significant rise in autism spectrum disorders, I don't think we should take this data lightly.
Wow. So a lot of people have said, oh, autism, it's vaccines. Would this maybe highlight another association?
I think it certainly gives another avenue for us to explore.
Are you going to tell your pregnant patients to not take acetaminophen based on the study?
That's a great question. I'm going to tell a lot of us reflexively, we have a minor ache, back pain, we reach for that medication. Right. I'm going to try to counsel them and say, if you have arthritis flares, try other things, heat, cold, physical therapy exercises. But if pregnant patients have fever, that's another story, because fever can itself cause issues with the pregnancy and malformations, and miscarriage risk goes up. So this is an area that the OBGYN has to get involved with and do lots of counseling with patients. Yeah,
risk-benefit analysis. There's something else we wanted to talk to you about, and it's some weird tick-borne illness that really seems to be prevalent on, of all places, Martha's Vineyard, where if you get bitten by this tick, you suddenly become allergic to meat and dairy. What is that all about?
Very weird.
Yes, it's very weird. It's called alpha-gal syndrome. It's actually an allergic reaction. So it's an allergic reaction to a sugar molecule in red meat and dairy, and us humans don't have this sugar molecule. So, and the Lone Star tick carries this sugar molecule in its saliva. So when it attaches to your skin and bites you, your body sees this sugar molecule, it mounts an antibody response. And the next time you have some steak or ice cream, the body sees that molecule and says, aha, this is bad, I'm going to attack it. And the whole reaction starts. What's really unusual, a lot of times it happens a few hours later after consuming a meal. So you have your dinner, 3 in the morning, patients are waking up feeling really hot, getting hives, having severe abdominal pain, and sometimes life-threatening anaphylactic reactions.
Oh my gosh, terrifying. You would not do well. Do not get bitten by a tick on
Can it be treated?
Vineyard.
Well, the treatment is, of course, if somebody's having an anaphylactic reaction, epinephrine pens. But what's really important is prevention. These ticks, the reason this is rising, there are 450,000 cases in the U.S. right now. Oh it used to be in the southeast, but now it's traveling up to the northeast and Midwest states. So the best protection is for us to wear DEET-based tick sprays, permethrin-treated clothing, and to do full-body tick checks if you're outside and you come back in to remove those ticks right away.
Oh, wow.
Pretty terrifying.
That sounds awful.
I know.
Thank you for coming in to talk to us.
Great to see you.
Illuminating as always.
Thank you for the house call as always.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.
Hi, everyone. I'm Brian Kilmeade.
Man, not only did she get into the acetaminophen, but she got into the whole alpha-gal thing, which I think it's weird that people like Bill Gates want to push lab-grown fake meat. They tell us to limit our meat consumption for the environment. All the while, we have this ravaging tick-borne illness. Kind of weird if you ask me. But yeah, I mean, the fact that Fox News is playing videos about, oh, now there's an association with autism and ADHD spectrum disorders with consumption of acetaminophen during pregnancy. Not only are they attacking us with the vaccines, they're attacking us with that. It's the most consumed, painkiller for pregnant women. And I look forward to RFK Jr. coming out this month in September and making an announcement about these specific things. I hope. And so, but again, they're attacking our children. But it's all for a bigger agenda. And I've been seeing a rise in people talking about LASIK. I mean, I know several people personally who've had LASIK, but I'd say in the last 5 or 6 years, I'd see every once in a while just a random news article about someone who had killed themselves right after LASIK because of, I don't know, just they couldn't take whatever happened. I thought, oh, that's weird, But more and more I hear people talking about their negative times with LASIK. And so listen to this video, and again, I think it just lends to the broader sense of they attack us wherever we're at. So listen to this.
There is no person who has had LASIK who does not have complications. I am absolutely terrified that my eyes were damaged from LASIK surgery.
The FDA is not taking care of the health of the public. They're not warning about the dangers of LASIK. After 7 to 8 years, 44% of people lost the ability to see at distance. You lose something called contrast sensitivity, which is the ability to see subtle shades of gray, and that's in 100% of people. It's taking a healthy eye and making it sick. And there are late complications that can come on as long as 25 years later.
What are the risk factors for somebody who's had LASIK, it started wear off, and then they opt to go in again?
Don't have repeat LASIK. Many ophthalmologists feel exactly the way I do. LASIK doesn't make you see better. It always makes you see worse. If you knew you had a 75% chance of having an incurable, untreatable, forever dry eye, would you have wanted LASIK?
Folks, just makes you wonder. I know folks, personally, like I said, several people who've had it. And several years ago, I was like, oh, that sounds like a good idea. Never had to worry about my dang contacts or glasses ever again. I would love it. But now after seeing something like that, yeah, I can't do it. Even the lady who invented the LASIK procedure, she still wears glasses. She's not letting anyone put a laser in her eye. Why? But why is it that they push these things off on us that then create chronic, perpetual customers? Same thing with the Tylenol for pregnant women. They're attacking us not only because they want to enslave us in a broader sense, but like I said, it's a monetary system. They make money by keeping us sick, by having us on medications. And where's it all leading? Where's it all leading? Ooh, that's the big, drum roll. Ooh, here it is. It all leads back to the World Economic Forum. Why are they attacking us with our health? Okay, why are they throwing the alien things at us? Why are they killing politicians in Germany? Far-right politicians. And why are people, Xi Jinping and Putin talking about organ harvesting and eternal life? Okay, it's because they view us as sub-class slaves. And so just listen to this video about the digital ID that's coming, and it's all wrapped into the UN Agenda 2030. And so it's quiet at first, so I'll probably have to turn up the volume and I'll restart it, but you guys just take a listen.
We're developing, through technology, an ability for consumers to measure their own carbon footprint. What does that mean? That's where are they traveling? How are they traveling? What are they eating? We're developing, through technology, an ability for consumers to measure their own carbon footprint. What does that mean? That's where are they traveling? How are they traveling? What are they eating? What are they consuming on the platform? So individual carbon footprint tracker. Stay tuned. We don't have it operational yet, but this is something that we're working on.
Ooh, that's something that they're working on, folks. Don't you just love it? And that's the point about all the attacks on our family, through propaganda and through these satanic ideologies that pollute the minds of our children, through the medicines that they give us to our pregnant mothers, through the curative procedures that are supposed to help us, that actually make us lifelong customers. It is all leading to this digital ID control system. And it'll all be based on carbon footprint, carbon neutral, saving the earth, that's how they're going to frame it, but it's also going to be blended with China's social credit score. I mean, your carbon footprint will be tied to your social credit score somehow, but it's all about control. And you say, well, I've never heard about that. Well, just look again at the background.
We're developing through technology an ability.
Just the World Economic Forum logo, 666. Here it is again.
We're developing through technology an ability for consumers to measure their.
Again, whether or not it was intended to look somewhat similar to 666, it's like, well, they throw these symbols out in our face all the time. That one is almost a little too obvious, but the point still stands. But these people are saying these things all the time, and we just don't have any idea. So here's another video of a doctor. Michael Yedon. Yedon Michael, can't remember his name. But listen to him. I mean, he's been blowing the whistle on it too for a long time.
We are living in a peri-tyrannical situation where there's only 2 clicks left. When you are required to have digital ID to move around and have a life, and when cashless central bank digital currencies are the only way you can buy and sell, at that point you've lost your freedom. If you follow the breadcrumbs to 2030, anyone can look up the UN 2030 SDGs, Sustainable Development Goals. By 2030, Britain specifically will have no commercial passenger aircraft leaving the country. You will not be able to leave. There will be no ships leaving the country. You will not own private transport. You will have a digital ID to do everything, and you will only have electronic money with which to transact. I would say at that point you are a slave, and because you can see them coming, you should say no. Say no right now. Stop. The things that are happening are really fantastic, but they go back decades. There's no question that there's been a very long run-up to the level of control that we are going to face if we allow cash to.
I mean, he says it perfectly, essentially, like, say no now, but no one's been saying no for decades. We keep saying yes. We keep saying yes, and that's why we're going to find ourselves in a bad spot before we even realize it. And once we get there, we're going to say, whoa, now I don't like this. And they'll say, what do you mean? You let us do this. It's what it's all about. Worldwide control, one world government, one world religion that essentially is probably going to be a Luciferian, the actual tenets and doctrines of the devil himself, Lucifer, out in the open. That's where it's leading. Okay. But even the talk of these kinds of things are even reaching circles like Jordan Peterson. I mean, I don't know if any of my viewers know who he is, but he's a pretty popular right-wing personality currently. But I'll show you this last video of him talking about it and where it's leading.
If you have digitally verified ID, then you run into the problems of digitally verified ID, and they're running down that road in China now. So in China, for example, God, this is going to happen here, I think, too. Although maybe people will fight it. If a traffic camera catches you jaywalking in China, okay, so the digital ID system has you. It has your blood now. It has your genetic code. It has your photograph. It can identify how you walk. So even if you can't see a face, you can be picked up by gait. It will convict you of jaywalking and take money out of your bank account with no intermediating judiciary at all, and show a picture of you to the people in the neighborhood so they know that you have jaywalked, and reduce your social credit score. And if your social credit score falls below a certain level, then you can't buy drinks from a vending machine. You can't play video games. You can't go on a train. You can't get out of your 15-minute city. All that's already in place in China.
Do you think that would be helpful or unhelpful?
It would be, I think it would bring in, and it has already in China, I think it'll bring in a totalitarian tyranny so 100% complete that it would make George Orwell's 1984 look like a picnic.
Folks, that's where it's all leading. I mean, everything I harp on, whether that be the aliens or the vaccines or the LASIK or the Tylenol or a lot of these things, it is all leading to this one thing, this UN Agenda 2030. I mean, whether they have it actually in place by 2030, I can't say, but they're already doing it in China. And so imagine a system like that, like he described, all over the world, in America. Folks, that's the mark of the beast system. That's the beast system. It's coming. It's coming. And what are you going to do? How are we preparing? I mean, we keep saying yes to it. We keep eating the bread, drinking the wine, while they just continue to enslave us. And folks, that's all I've got for you today. So thank you for tuning in. And as always, I love being here in the pub with you guys. I don't know if Jazzy J and T-Man ever going to come in, but I'll be here tomorrow, same time. Guys, don't forget to tune in to Night with Fee tonight. He's going to have a good show for you. And as always, God